Hello my darlings and welcome back to my channel. For those of you who are new here, my name is Miranda and I am the Enchantress of Avalon. So for today's video, I will be discussing another tarot archetype. This time we'll be talking about the star card in tarot. But before I get into the topic at hand, I just want to give my usual announcements at the beginning of the video and reminders, because other than running this YouTube channel, I also am an owner of an online business, a priestess business, White Rose of Avalon, found at whiteroseofavalon.life. It's always linked down below. I do tarot readings, mentoring sessions, channeled readings, and I have my class, the Melusine Mysteries, which will be opening for enrollment on March 13th. Which I'm so excited about. It'll be the second year of the Melusine Mysteries, and I just cannot wait to welcome in a new class. If you're interested in any of that, links are in the description box below. And I also want to say I have a collaboration with Otter Spirit currently. White Rose of Avalon does, that is. Otter Spirit is a jewelry brand, and maybe you can get in on a last minute Valentine's Day gift if you're looking for one. And I will link the video about my collaboration in the cards and also down below and the blog post. And then finally, I am also speaking at the 2026 Water Priestess Confluence this year. My previous video on this channel is all about the confluence, but I wanted to remind you that I am speaking, and the information for Water Priestess Confluence, the website to purchase tickets, and my 10% discount code are going to be linked in the description box of this video too. So without further ado, let's get into the topic at hand. So firstly, I want to begin by sharing some of my favorite star cards, and we could discuss elements of the card that are present. So this is the star card, or l'étoile, as it is described here, because it is from a French deck. It's from Le Terre Arthurienne, and I just adore the imagery of this card. And it has elements usually in the star card. We have a cup, we have water, and we have a young woman. She herself is the star in this case. Then we have the Crow Tarot. Because it's the Crow Tarot, they're all crows. But again, we still have elements of the water pouring down because there is the water bearer. The star card is very associated with Aquarius, so that makes sense to have the water bearing. We have from the Llewellyn Tarot by Anna Marie Ferguson, and she chose Bronwyn to represent the star card, so quite lovely. And we do again have the water represented. We also have a monolithic structure behind her. We have from the, sorry, I'm trying to get the glare off these cards. We have from the Tarot of the Hidden Realm. And so this is very much the hope and optimism. We have a little fairy boy representing the star on this card. And then we have the star card from the Tempest Tarot, which is a nautical deck. So this is the loot gathered by a group of pirates, obviously, which is what pirates do hope for. And that's the heart of the star card. The heart of the star card is hope. And I associate the star card really greatly with this time of year, not only because of Aquarius energy and it being associated with Aquarius, and obviously in the tropical zodiac we are in Aquarius right now, but also because I associate the star card with Maiden energy and with the holiday of Imbolc, which the traditional celebration of Imbolc is usually celebrated around the 1st or 2nd of February, but holidays are seasons, not just a single day, and depending on how you celebrate, we're still very much in Imbolc season. So it's the perfect time to discuss this type of energy. So first of all, why do I associate the star card with the Maiden energy? Well, that is because the Maiden energy is youthful and very hopeful, optimistic, and of course innocent. And if you notice on the examples I showed, there is this innocence, especially we see that with the young Fae boy. He is an incredibly innocent figure. He's literally a child figure. But there is this feeling of innocence permeating. And Bronwyn has a very tragic story. When we look at the Llewellyn Tarot, she chose a very tragic figure to put on the star card. But Bronwyn, even though she does at the end of the tale die of a broken heart, she never really gave up hope throughout her story before the end. She had been a princess of Britain, Wales, and she was married off to the High King of Ireland in a marriage alliance. But there was a very big insult to the Irish that was committed on her wedding day. It was smoothed over by her brother Bran, the High King of Britain, but the lasting impact never faded. And eventually, when her husband was reminded a few years later of what's going on, what had went on his wedding day, it's usually a year, maybe two, depending on the translation and the telling of it. And he locks her up in the kitchens, and she's beaten by this butcher in the kitchens, and it is very tragic, very painful story. But she doesn't give up hope that she can get out of this circumstance. And she finds the starling, and she tames the starling, teaches it to speak, because remember, it's a tale, and then sends it with a description of her brother Bran to his court so that he can come and hopefully save her, which does result in a war. Bran does, of course, come pretty much immediately. He gets all troops together and comes to rescue his sister when he finds out what has been happening. But yeah, it does end tragically. Pretty much everyone dies. Literally only 7 people from Bran's troops survive, and then Bronwyn would be the 8th that did rescue her. But she ends up dying of a broken heart because of all that she lost. She lost her brother and half-brother and son. It's a very painful thing, and she dies of a broken heart because of it. But she routinely has hope. She continues to have hope through even the most dire of circumstances. And I think that's probably why she was chosen for the star card. And she's also a very much so that maiden energy and that very innocent figure. She's very loving, very nurturing, very kind. And she never loses any of that. Even the dying of a broken heart is proof of just how loving Bronwyn is. She's this very, very soft, very feminine energy, and that soft femininity is very much the heart of the star card for me. When I think of the star card in tarot, I think of that energy. So I do think it's a very fitting choice to have Bronwyn on that card, even though it might not have been the first figure I thought of. But again, gorgeous, and one of my all-time favorite depictions of the star, because we do have like the actual stars in the sky, but we have Bronwyn, and she's clearly very hopeful and happy in the card artwork. It does look like it's depicting the moment when she releases the starling, because we do see this starling here. So that is a time full of hope. Now, the star card is also a card that some people might have a little bit of trouble connecting to, because the star card, other than the hope for renewal and for new beginnings and this very light, soft energy that the card has, it also is a card that's going to be about giving yourself a break. That's the part of the card that's going to be really hard for some people, because this is not a card that's kind of denoting that you should rush, 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 go, 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 achieve, achieve, achieve. You need to take the step back and to allow yourself a time of calm and peace, because it is a peaceful card. And the fact that it's associated with Aquarius, and I associate it deeply with Imbolc, which is tied to Aquarius season, especially for looking at the tropical zodiac, the tropical astrology placements and dates, which is the more common in the Western world to use the tropical. I myself prefer the sidereal and Vedic, but both have their places, and the tropical certainly is aligned with the seasons. So when we're looking at Imbolc as a holiday, looking at this time of year, we're still in winter, but we're at the point of hoping for the renewal of spring, hoping for the potential to start blooming and growing. And yes, in ancient times, they would have considered Imbolc the turning to spring, with the spring equinox being the middle of spring. We look at it a bit differently nowadays. We usually think of the equinoxes and solstices as the official beginning of a season, but either way, there is the quickening at Imbolc. Imbolc literally means in the belly, which is referring to ewes who have milk in their bellies to nourish young. It is that time of hope, the growing hope for renewal for the future, for the renewal and resurrection of the springtime when the plants will come alive again. It is an absolutely magical time, and one that I, over the years, have gotten more attuned to and have begun to enjoy more, because it is still very cold. Like, it's February, it's cold, and we've been in obviously a deep freeze of late. A lot of places have been, where I live certainly has been. So it's not a fun time when it comes to just how cold and frigid everything is. In fact, as I was talking about the cold, my heat kicked on. I'm sure you can hear it, and I am sorry you can hear the heat in these videos. I can't really help it. But that being said, that's very much the star card's energy, is that hoping for renewal, the pure youthful innocence, the soft feminine, the maiden energy. And whenever I see the star card appear in a reading, I'm just like, oh, hope. And there's this comforting feeling from the star card for me. I don't feel it is like as difficult as some people, because I've really worked on that whole idea of, okay, I need to give myself a break. I need to step back. I need to rest. Rest is important. You can't receive if you're not willing to say, okay, I've done these things. Now let me step back. Because if you continue to push, that's not what is going to help you achieve something. And I think the star card is very much a reminder of that. And I'm just glancing at my notes. So yes, the star card's energy isn't just Imbolc for me, though. I really also associate it with the spring equinox, because it's that whole transition as spring is growing and the renewal is beginning. And other than that, I do have notes. I have Swan Maidens listed here, because Imbolc and the spring equinox I associate very deeply with the Swan Maiden story and with the idea of the sleeping swan awakening. It's, again, that very soft, very feminine, very pure energy. Swans are considered, or often associated with that kind of energy. They are a white animal, and obviously associated with the fairy because they're a white animal. So we have that coming through. And the Swan Maidens, I'm going to just briefly talk about them. They are a type of fairy woman and water fairy who, like Selkies, have transformational abilities. They can fully transform into swans when they wear their swan feathered cloaks. And then when they remove them, they're maidens. And again, very similar to Selkie tales, Swan Maidens, if their cloaks are stolen, will marry the man who holds the cloak. But what differs from the Selkie and her seal skin getting stolen is, instead of just abandoning entirely because of being forced into this marriage, the Swan Maiden truly does love her husband in many tellings, and she runs off and he has to go and chase her and prove himself to her and win back her love and trust, because obviously he broke her trust by keeping her with him through holding her cloak. But he's willing to regain the love and trust. He's willing to work for it. So much more romantic than a Selkie story. But yeah, I feel that energy. And again, there's that hopefulness in the Swan Maiden's story, where even when she is betrayed by having her swan feather cloak stolen, she does, through her marriage to this man, develop true feelings for him. And she runs off, yes, but leaving clues for him to be able to find her if he's willing to work for it, if he's willing to put in the effort to prove that he does love her, that this isn't just lust, that this isn't just him wanting to strip her of her own sovereignty. And that's the beauty of that tale. And that's what all of this keeps repeating through and reverberating through with the star card, and the maiden energy that is tied to the star card is hope, endless hope. And in fact, we can look at so many different fairy tales and say, oh, there's maiden star card energy there because of the hope inherent in them. And that's why we also think of the wishing upon a star, getting everything you wanted through a wish upon a star. It's hope and it's joy, and there's some childlike wonder and there's innocence. I love the energy of the star card. I have been feeling very attuned to the energy of the star card lately. Because of this time of year, I always feel a pull to the star card. Beginning in like late January and running through March, I feel very attuned to it, even into April sometimes, depending. So yeah, that's why I wanted to talk about the star card with you today. And I do hope you've liked this slightly rambling video and meditative look at what the star card and the maiden energy really means. And I hope that it inspires you to tune into that energy in your own life. So with that, I am going to say goodbye, and I hope you have a very wonderful rest of your week.